There was a UN gathering this week. So The Guardian spoke to former UN head Ban Ki-moon, and he had some interesting stuff to say here. So The Guardian reports ex-UN chief Ban Ki-moon says U.S. healthcare system is, quote, morally wrong. Exclusive, former UN Secretary General accuses powerful health interests in the U.S. of blocking universal health care. The U.S. has the world's most expensive health system, accounting for nearly 1/5 of American gross domestic product and costing more than $10,348 per American. The United Kingdom, by comparison, spends a little under 10% of GDP, according to the latest available statistics, and healthcare is free at the point of delivery. Quote, it's not easy to understand why such a country like the United States, the most resourceful and richest country in the world, does not introduce universal health coverage, said Ban. Nobody would understand why almost 30 million people are not covered by insurance. Failing to provide health coverage, he said, was, quote, unethical and wrong, and politically wrong, morally wrong. He accused the powerful interests of pharmaceutical companies, hospitals, and doctors that inhibit the American government of having prevented the U.S. from moving towards universal health care. Quote, this is for the people. Leaders are elected because they vowed that they would work for the people, said Ban. They are abandoning people because they are poor. Then these poor people cannot find proper medical support. And then he also went on to say, quote, here the political interest groups are so powerful, even President, Congress, senators, and representatives of the House, they cannot do much, so they are easily influenced by these special interest groups. Here's why I find this story fascinating. One of the common scare tactics that the Republicans use is they rant against the UN and they act like, oh, UN's going to take our sovereignty. And they act like we can't be turned over to the UN, man. They don't care about America. And the hilarious reality is that he's describing more sympathy for the American people than our own representatives do. So, in fact, if the UN was turned over, if the U.S. was turned over to the UN in some weird hypothetical scenario, at least on the issue of healthcare, you would actually be represented better than, your Congress represents you. Which is so sad. That's so sad. But, it should actually be totally unsurprising because when you look at the approval rating for Congress, it oscillates between like 13% and 21%. So nobody likes Congress. Among regular people, nobody likes Congress. But what you have is the former head of the UN. He's like, yeah, by the way, here, let me accurately diagnose exactly what's wrong with your politics, and let me break it down for you. And he's right. Everything he said is right. It's unethical. It's immoral, our system. And the reason why we don't have movement in the right direction is because politicians are bought by special interests. And he lays out the special interests of for-profit health insurance companies, big pharma. So that's where we are. And isn't it amazing that the rest of the world can look at it objectively and go, oh man, what the fuck are you guys doing? That's fucked up, dude. But in this country, our politicians pretend like nothing's wrong at all. And only, well, actually, now the number's up to 70% of Americans that want Medicare for all. So I guess only 30% don't know the reality. 70%, to one extent or another, on one level or another, understand, like, oh, it's all fucked up, and that's the answer. So we're getting there. The amazing thing is, it looks like we're at the point now where the propaganda has failed. Because they've tried to do the propaganda for so long. Oh my God, government take over healthcare. It's so bad. It's so evil. There's going to be death panels. Your grandma's going to die. It's going to be horrendous. Well, actually, no, the death panels are the for-profit health insurance companies who can deny you healthcare for any reason they want. So it looks like the propaganda is finally starting to fail and people are starting to understand, oh, that's right. That's right. Maybe the answer is the thing that they told us was the problem all along.